Hi, welcome to the Beet Retreat 2021 in Los Angeles, our largest ever. This has been a blessed, blessed event. It has been amazing. For a lot of us, I joked around, it was our quinceañera, like our sort of coming out, right? We actually are coming together for the first time after the last 2 years that we've all had, and it has been spectacular to be surrounded by our colleagues, the titans of industry, but just ultimately to be able to exchange energy and smiles and have that sort of beautiful connection was spectacular. And so spectacular things and conversations happened and were had, and I want to tell you about those. One of the thematics that was consistent across the entirety of the conference was this need for plumbing, right? So connective tissue across the industry to enable all of the great things that are part of this collective catch-all phrase we call advanced TV, which includes addressable, often in the sort of context of the conversations we've been having. And we need plumbing not only to be able to sort of enable the delivery of all of these new type of ad formats rather, but also for the data, right? And to be able to sort of achieve what is the ultimate rather goal of deduplicated reach, to be able to buy across multiple platforms, to be able to, ultimately measure on the back end as well. It requires plumbing and connective tissue across the ecosystem between buyers and sellers and the entirety of the value chain of folks in the middle in the technology and marketplaces. That was clear and consistent. The second was that, buyers came out particularly loud and proud in expressing their needs and made it very actionable. One thing that was very clear is it's too hard to buy connected TV and advanced TV, and that ultimately the proliferation of walled gardens does not serve our industry or premium video in general. It's just way too hard to sort of deal with these fragmented buys, the amount of reach, and the challenge of actually wanting to reach audiences, but the known sort of, the known fact of duplication. How do we combat that? And the reality is that unless we have some type of unified data set that allows us to dedupe across the walled gardens, unified ID, we won't have it. The challenge is that you have a lot of holding companies that are creating their own proprietary data sets and unique identifiers. You have the walled gardens that have them as well within their own ecosystems. And then now we have different and other types of unique identifiers. Like, for example, one of the sponsors talked extensively about content unique identifiers. So what's happening, as is our MO in the advertising industry, if we're just keeping it real, is we're taking a very, very complicated problem and we're trying to solve it by adding more complexity with great humility. That is the truth of the matter. So I think in regards to sort of making it easy for buyers, we need to be really self-effacing of where we are in the curve of maturation to ensure that we're not having the same conversations again in the next year, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because honestly, if we're really truthful about the nature of the conversations, these have been what are sort of universal truths or problems that have challenged us and plagued us for a long time. And even though we've come so far in the last couple years, we still have a lot further to go. The other thing that was expressed by the buy side is that ultimately they would love to have more control. So there was a little bit of sort of peacocking, if you will, in a gentle way off the record about sort of, let buyers make decisions, let them really sort of decide what inventory they want to purchase, et cetera. And obviously that makes it difficult and there creates a lot of friction. I'm going to come back to that in one of my other sort of thematics that I observed. But ultimately at the end of the day, I think that there is a need, we know, to make what is a complicated business problem set less complicated for our buyers. And we all notice that we know and acknowledge we need to do that on the sell side. The third was measurement, and these are in no order because I think measurement requires a lot of time and attention, and I just want to say that was a shining star here. Not only was measurement in general a omnipresent sort of thing that came up in every conversation, in every panel, and the need for it, and the need for standards. But what did occur was at a keynote, Kelly from sort of NBC Universal and their measurement RFP process, she presented that, and she presented her infograph of how they're sort of laying out the ecosystem and all the 54, I believe, partners with whom she's spoken. She'd said they were only 65% along in the path, talked about the results of her POC, and she's done this work along with her team at NBC, and they've done it for the purpose of sharing it to move the entirety of the industry forward. And that is incredibly admirable and gracious, and damn, if anything is going to make a change, it's going to be this, because they are her and her team and NBC in general are taking leadership and moving the agenda forward and actually driving a conversation and ultimately investing and putting time and effort where it needs to be placed to truly make an impact on our industry and then ultimately create a sea change, not just a step change. This was done by Kelly and her team with the help of others, and honestly, other sectors or other times in our industry, this would have been a McKinsey or an Accenture report, and it probably would have cost 7 or 8 figures, and ultimately probably nothing would have happened with it. I really do believe goodness is going to come out of this, and I am so excited to see the ripple effect that results. Number 4 was, we talked a lot about business outcomes and ultimately measurement that ties back to business outcomes and being able to use business outcomes to buy media and place investment dollars by the buy side. Awesome. I'm not even going to unpack this sort of conversation that is a red herring of like, well, are you going to compensate agencies both up and down and offer them an incentive to improve your business outcomes? Like, that's clearly a very easy place to go. I'm going to put that aside for a second. What was missing and what hurts my heart, given that, you know, I run a company that serves sellers, is that ultimately there was no discussion of business outcomes for sellers. That is absent from the conversation. And everybody has to win in order for this to work and for anyone, all parts of the ecosystem, to want to put the work in to make it work easier, better, faster, stronger every day. And every year we come back to this retreat. The last is that we need to work together, right? I mean, that's pretty straightforward. The need for standards, the need for collaboration. But honestly, guys, let's just keep it real. We say this at every retreat. And I am every day, and especially just reflecting on the last 3 days, I am astounded at the kindness and the warmth and how wonderful of humans we have in our industry, and we are, and yet we still keep saying that we need to collaborate and work together more. So I can't imagine a group of people and hearts and minds that are better positioned and have greater readiness to actually do that. So let's just do it. I hope to see you next year, our biggest one yet, and I hope to see everybody in San Juan. Thanks.